It is now 11:21 in the morning and we have 239 millivolt deviation. I set this battery up at about 8:30 this morning. So 3 hours later, and it has not balanced anything at all. Nothing. Zero. Nada. So I've got the power supply connected to the QSO battery now, sitting on roughly 55.1 volts. And there's 200 millivolt going into the battery still. Sometimes it goes to zero. So I keep the battery on this voltage to give the balancer a chance to actually do some work on these battery cells here. Because clearly cell number 16 is far too high, while cell number 3 is far too low. But as I have tested before with the solar connected, this passive balancer of the BMS is not doing a dent in these battery cells here. Yeah, goes to zero. And now the balancing has kicked in. And then we can see a bit of activity here from the power supply. It recharges the battery actually, because it's a passive balancer. It only pleats off energy of these yellow marked cells now. But this is like 150 milliamp. So it only occasionally balances and then it stops balancing. Maybe it measures the voltage then of the battery cells. It's a constant start and stop of this balancing function. Yeah, it's 150 again, 160, and we can see the balancer is turned on again now. But 239 millivolt deviation still for the last 3 hours, not doing anything. Okay, today I want to, well, first of all, I want to continue my labeling of the batteries so I know which battery is where. So obviously the most negative of your battery is cell number 1, and the most positive of your battery pack is cell number 16 in a 16S pack. And then we want to manually balance this battery as good as it gets. Guys, welcome back to another video from the off-grid garage in sunny hot Australia. Even we have just entered autumn, summer is back. Got 115 amps outside, but I guess we will see the 200 amps outside today. And here, I want to show you something here. Look at the shade of the garage. If you still remember, in summertime, the shade was barely noticeable here on the concrete corner. And now we have gained that much shade already from the garage. That's how much down the sun is from the 21st of December or something. So this is like 10 weeks ago or so. Yeah, and the sun will go down to this angle here. So the shade of the garage will actually come all the way to over here somewhere. But I'll show you this in a later video. Today we wanna balance this QSO battery here. So I have just finished the labeling. Cell number 1, 8, 9, 16. And I still got the power supply connected, 55.1 volts. We just want to go a little bit higher maybe. Let's see, oh, not too high. 0.2 could be already too far. And then cell number 16 will go over 3.65 volts and the BMS will turn off then at some stage. But before this happens, we will come to the rescue. Yeah, we haven't used the good old light bulbs for a while. So these are just 12 volt halogen vehicle lights, and I've cabled them here on the back. I can connect only one row or all of them. And then we can use these two cables here to discharge single cells and help out the balancer. And if you remember from the battery 1.0 in this corner, and which was installed in the plastic container, we have used this light bulb here a ton to top balance the battery. Remember this one with a big relay? 200 milliamps of passive balancing, but couldn't do anything with the battery. Cell number 16 is high at the moment, and here's our cell number 16. This is the positive terminal and this is the negative terminal, and we just take the two cables of our light bulb and connect this to the terminals, and we can see the voltage is going down already in cell number 16. And then you can see all of a sudden cell number 5 is our highest cell. when we do that, when we discharge a single cell, the overall pack voltage obviously decreases, and that means the power supply kicks in and delivers more power to bring the battery back to 55.2. So this one is constantly recharging, and this is actually a good thing because it recharges the batteries which are on a lower level at the moment, and we take away a lot of energy with the light bulbs from the higher voltage cells. But this one is constantly recharging and helps the lower voltage cells to get up. And over time it will actually top balance this battery then, and you have to watch the battery monitor, so all the 16 single cell voltages all the time, and then connect your light bulbs accordingly to whatever shows as red as the highest voltage cell. It's a manual process, but you can learn a lot. Okay, I've just turned on the magnifier of the Windows computer so I can read actually the cell voltages over there on the screen while I keep working down here on the battery and discharging the cells. Otherwise I have to get up all the time and I'm too old for this shit. Okay, so we have cell number 16 again, which is our highest cell, and I put the cables across, discharge cell number 16, and now cell number 5. So I keep this connected for a while, just to pull some energy from this one cell. Otherwise it peaks again straight away. So you want to keep it on for 20-30 seconds or so at least. See, the voltage comes down to 3.5 now. And now cell number 5, this one here. Pull this one down as well. Voltage comes down immediately. Keep it connected, maybe until it goes to 3.5 or so. And what I want to actually do here is I want to connect the other light bulbs as well. I've got a bit more power to discharge then. Doesn't take that long. Just connect this one row as well. Now we've got all light bulbs connected. This is like I don't know, they are 55 watts or something each. So that's quite a big load. Okay, let's have a look on the screen again. What's going on? Cell number 1. Ah, look at this. Good old cell number 1. Oh, yeah, it gets a bit of a spark. Yeah, all 6 light bulbs are on now. And we pull the voltage down quickly now. Look at this. And now cell number 2. Same. Nice. Cell number 10. 10 down here. See, now you're actually doing the work of the balancer. This is what the balancer should do automatically. Cell number 5. Whatever turns red on the screen there. Oh, cell number 16 again, huh? Comes up again. Okay, cell number 16. Pulling it down quickly now. And then cell number 5 again. See, they're always the same cells at the moment. These are the ones with a higher state of charge or higher voltage. And then it jumps to cell number 16 again. So this is actually exactly what the balancer does as well. But it can balance multiple cells at the same time, which I cannot do with the light bulbs. I can only do one at a time. But it actually works. We've done this quite a lot with the QSO BMS and the batteries 1.0 and the plastic container. Okay, so all right, let's have a look at our deviation. I cannot see the deviation here. Difference 140, 141. Oh, you can see it on the screen anyway. 140 millivolts. So that's actually good. That's from 240 to 140 down. We're still charging with 800 milliamps at the moment here, so power supply is recharging the batteries now because the whole pack voltage lowers, and deviation will increase again over time, but it shouldn't go to 240 anymore because we have already helped the BMS now to balance, which we really shouldn't do. We shouldn't do this. This is why the BMS, that's why we paid money for the BMS. It should do this for us, but it doesn't do it with this battery. It doesn't do it with many other batteries. You can see with these batteries here, the passive balancer is more like, really? And then over time, if we can see that the cells are not peaking that much anymore, we can actually increase the voltage slowly here. maybe 55.5 or so. Just give it a bit more. See there, 55.5 or 55.6 maybe. It is like 3.47 or something volt per cell, if they would be all 100% balanced. And now we can also see the deviation is actually increasing again, which is quite normal. Okay, so 160 millivolt deviation is still not great, but let's increase the voltage further to let's charge with 5 amps, and the voltage is now set to 56 point whatever 5 or something. And you can see the deviation is increasing again now, because we are going now very far in the steep area of the curve and the cells are drifting more and more. So we have to be on the ball now with our light bulbs to help the BMS before it actually turns off. But it doesn't really matter if it turns off, you know, it's still balancing in the background. So cell number 5, huh? Good old cell number 5. Cell number 1. So the BMS has now turned off because one of the cells was over 3.65 volts. But it doesn't matter, it keeps balancing. Cell number 7, oh, 7 is new. We just keep doing it. And you can see, as soon as I connect the light bulbs now, the voltage goes down because we are so far in the steep area of the curve already. And now another cell, number 8. Oh, we never had number 8. See, they're all coming up now. But I'm a bit concerned about cell number 3 actually, because 3 is always the lowest. And it was also in our discharge test. Okay, I think you get the point, right? You get the point. So this could take a really long time. I spent hours trying to balance the battery 1.0 with the QSO BMS connected using this method here. And over time it actually works. We have got more and more cells which are balancing. So again, I'm a bit concerned about cell number 3 because it's under, or it's just above 3.4 volts, which is very, very low in comparison to all the other cells. So this was the passive discharge method using some light bulbs or any other load you have and discharge single battery cells now. But there's also another method. This involves the power supply as well, but not on 56 volts, but on like maybe, we turn this one down here to, let's say around 5 volts. And now we are trying to charge the lower voltage battery. So we start with cell number 3 because this is really the lowest in the whole pack here for some reason. And we want to bring this one up to the same level as all the other ones. And we've got our cell number 3 here, but we don't actually know which is positive and which is negative at the moment. In this battery, it's fairly easy because the balance cable for battery number 3, you see this one here says actually B3 on this heat shrink. So this is for battery number 3, and the balance cable is always connected to the positive. So this is our positive, this is our negative. But if you don't have the information, well, you have to either measure with your voltage meter, which is the safest method, or if it's close to one of the main terminals, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, because they're all connected in series anyway. So we've got the negative here and the positive there. So 3 different methods to find out. Negative here, okay, and I clip this one on here so I can show you the power supply. There we are charging the battery now with 4 amps, but again it is unprotected. We don't have the BMS in between, and it will not disconnect this battery cell if you overcharge it. But now here on the screen we can already see the voltage is rising now, and the deviation should go down. Yeah, it does, 183. And as long as battery cell number 3 is your lowest, keep charging it. It seems like there is quite a bit of charge missing. So we'll leave this up and running for a while, and now it flicks to cell number 14 and 15. Look at this. But we keep charging cell number 3 until it's at 3.5 volts around. So we keep watching cell number 3. So we now have to be careful because cell number 3 is already over 3.5 volts. And as I said, it's not protected by the BMS at the moment, so we have to take off our charge cables here of cell number 3. And then we have a look at the next candidate, which is cell number 15. But I've also seen cell number 14 popping up with the lowest voltage now. And because they are next to each other, we can actually charge them together. And now we have to determine the polarity before. So if we check these two, we should have 6-7 volts. Yeah, and this is positive. So that means my polarity is correct. Positive, negative of 2 cells. So if we connect and the negative down here, and then we need to increase the voltage of the power supply. So there's actually current flowing. So we are charging both batteries now in series from the positive, negative over there. This is number 14. Oh, I made a mistake. 14 and 13. That's not correct. Okay, it is 14 and 15. So, okay, this is our positive. This is our negative here. Negative there. Positive needs to go up here. And the negative down here. Okay, so now we're charging 14 and 15 in series. Yeah, 14 and 15 are rising in their voltage now. So that all looks good. So give this until they reach 3.5 volts. And then we should be in a pretty sweet spot already with our deviation. So if you want to recharge your single cell to 3.5 volts, then best is to set 3.5 in your power supply and let it just charge to this voltage. You don't need to pay that much attention to it. But if it comes closer to 3.5, the actual current will taper off. And it could take quite a long time to reach this 3.5. That's why I go over the voltage here, over the cell voltage, so it charges with maximum current. And it speeds up things here for this video. But here I'm charging 2 of the cells at the moment to 3.5 volts. I could set the power supply to 7 volts. Like this, for example. 6.99. That's good enough maybe. And you can see the current tapers off to 1.2 amps only. So it would take a while now to absorb these 2 cells at 1.1 amps. So it's easier to turn up the voltage and push 5 amps in it. But if you are unexperienced, don't do that. Put it to 3.5 if you charge a single cell and let it absorb until the current goes to 0 then. So we have now reached 3.5 volts with our cell number 14 and 15, and we can take off the charger and go to cell number 9, which is at 3.45. Cell number 9 is down here, and again we check the polarity. Yeah, that's correct. 3.44 positive. So positive is on this side. And negative is down here. Okay, cell number 9 gets 5 amps. We can see the deviation is coming down now to close to 100 millivolt only. So we are actually making a difference here. And of course, at the same time, when you recharge a single cell now, you can also discharge the cell with the highest voltage with your light bulbs. So you can combine both of the methods at the same time and speed up the process. Okay, let me do this here for the next 10-15 minutes, and then I'll be back here on the screen and show you the result. Okay, I'm doing this for now with like 10 minutes or so. Let's go for 200%. So we are down to 40 millivolt deviation now, which is pretty good now. I've increased the voltage to 57.5 around, which is like 3.6 volts per cell. And well, 40 millivolt deviation. If we leave the BMS now running, it should actually be able to balance this one out now. And discharging one of these cells now with 150 milliamps should actually make a difference in voltage and should get them down. So cell number 7 is the highest at the moment, 6 to 8. Let's see if it actually goes down. It is balancing right now. Now it is increasing. It is still not working. I'm not sure if the balancer works at all of this BMS. It is just frustrating. And see, the deviation actually goes up. We are at 45 again. As soon as I stop this all, the deviation goes up with this BMS here. Well, from what we have experienced today, manually balancing such a battery pack with light bulbs and a power supply could be very time consuming, very daunting, and it is probably a lost battle. Especially with a BMS like this, which has such a weak balancer. There's no way this BMS can handle that and will balance your battery over time. Not from what we can see here. So the only solution would be to install an active balancer, right, into this battery pack here. And, well, quite frankly, we have a lot of space here at the top for additional gear. So we could install actually a knee active balancer here, or one of these capacitive balancers. Either of them would work. And we will do exactly that in the next video. And then we should see a perfect balancing of this battery pack here. Okay guys, so far this video from today just showing you the manual process of balancing either discharging high voltage cells or recharging low voltage cells until they come a bit better together. But what is our deviation saying? 51 millivolts there, so it is actually increasing. I'm not sure if this balancer works at all. Well, let's test it out. So it's constantly balancing cell number 7, which is this one here. And I'm just putting the clamp meter on this balance cable and see if we can measure anything there. Okay, let's see. You want the light on? Wow. So there's nothing at the moment. Nothing on the screen which says it's balancing. Okay, the screen says it is balancing right now. Well, I cannot see anything apart from 60, 50 milliamps maybe. Yeah, it is still balancing. It says on the screen, yeah, it is calibrated. So there might be something, nothing. No balancing at the moment. Yeah, it is balancing right now. Okay, it could be, look at this. So it could be actually that the Tangaluma BMS, whatever it's called in here, has only a 50 milliamp passive balancer, which would not make a dent at all, not even at 3.65 volts. So this would be an absolute nightmare. That could be the reason why it is not balancing at all. So this BMS is not recommended at all for these kind of high capacity batteries. And it definitely 100% will need an active balancer in some form or shape. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your great support here on the channel. Thanks for all your donations, supporting me, staying cool down here. And until the next video, when we will install an active balancer in this battery here to make it actually work. You stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then. Bye bye. And we also have 200 amps outside now, as I told you. It's coming.